So the Jets lost to the Raiders. A Raiders team that's currently with a fourth round rookie quarterback. A Raiders team with currently a interim head coach, interim offensive coordinator, and a Raiders team, by all intents and purposes, is right now in shambles. Jets lost to that team this past week. Jets lost to the team with the 31st ranked rushing defense. Made our rushing attack look pretty mild. No touchdown. It's disheartening to say the least. But I've decided, you know what? I haven't done a prediction video because I really believed that I was impacting the outcome of the game by not jinxing it, so to speak. Like I said before, I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little bit stitious. But you know what? Talking to a couple of Jets fans, man, I realize I'm just being ridiculous. So somehow, some way, the Jets are still in it. Like, the Buffalo Bills lost to the Denver Broncos, dare I say, in a more embarrassing fashion than the Jets lost to the Raiders. No, it was definitively a more embarrassing fashion than the Jets lost to the Raiders. So the Jets are still in it. We face off against the Buffalo Bills in their house. I think it's Orchard Park this weekend, on Sunday, this Sunday. And oddly enough, if we beat the Bills, we're able to slide into second in the AFC East. And if the Dolphins, by the miracle and grace of the football gods, lose to the Raiders, which I don't think is realistic, but I also didn't think the Buffalo Bills would lose to the Broncos. So, hey, as they say, any given Sunday, the New York Jets would then, in essence, face off against the Miami Dolphins next Friday, Black Friday, for first in the AFC East. With Aaron Rodgers talking about he's coming back right around the corner. I can't believe we're here, but we're going to talk about it.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Congratulations, brother.
And here we... Okay, so there you have it. The Jets face off against the Buffalo Bills this week. Jets are currently 4-5 in the AFC East, which is third, right behind the Buffalo Bills, who are now 5-5 after losing to the Denver Broncos. Listen, no team in the AFC East has won a game in the last 2 weeks. It's actually kind of embarrassing. I remember this season starting off where we all thought and believed wholeheartedly that we had potentially the best division or the toughest division in all of sports, right? You got Miami Dolphins with that high-powered offense. You got the Buffalo Bills, 3-time AFC East champions, well-rounded on the defense and offensive side of the ball. And the Jets, who acquired Aaron Rodgers to combine him with that elite defense. We were talking about how this division would be potentially the most difficult division to play when it comes to the NFL. But we found out relatively quickly, you know, with the loss of Aaron Rodgers after 4 snaps, and the Buffalo Bills have regressed to a sense where I can't even begin to understand how you get to be this bad, even though I did predict they wouldn't make the playoffs early in the year. I didn't think it would be this bad. I thought it would be a battle out, and then by the end of the year, they're still, you know, net positive in wins, and they missed the playoffs. But they're playing horrible football. Josh Allen's playing like he's rookie Josh Allen. It's starting to see like the more time apart from Brian Dable he's gotten. You're seeing the results of that. So a lot of the components that there was arguments about in the offseason about whether or not the Bills got better, where a lot of us who look at the team and felt like we shouldn't be afraid of them, you're starting to see that come to fruition. They just fired Ken Dorsey, which I think was such a jerk move reaction to what happened against the Broncos, because let's be honest, that wasn't Ken Dorsey's fault that they lost that game, but somebody's head needed to roll, and the Bills did what they had to do. In the same token, the New York Jets, who have this elite defense dominating in every metric imaginable, don't have an offense that can play NFL football in 2023. The Jets offense has not scored a touchdown since the first quarter against the Giants. We're talking about 13 quarters of play. Or is it 12? I did the math earlier, but it doesn't really matter. Nonetheless, we're talking about several games now since they've scored an offensive touchdown. Penalties are killing us. Zach Wilson not being able to scan an entire field because he is limited when it comes to the mentality. When it comes to this game, it's killing us. I look at this roster and I look at where this team is at right now, and people will tell me I'm kidding, but I really believe wholeheartedly this New York Jets team with Aaron Rodgers at the helm is top of the AFC East, and we're 8-1. The Dallas Cowboys game is, to this moment, the only game I really believe we might have still lost. But this video isn't made to be a long one. I'm not trying to go ahead and bore you guys. I know you guys are watching this probably on your break, on your way to work, or whatever the case might be. So I'm going to just be direct. The New York Jets are still somehow in it. They can still allow themselves to be in contention for the AFC East, and I do believe only one team from the AFC East is going to make it into the playoffs, and that is the AFC East champion. The AFC North right now, with 4 teams potentially playoff caliber teams in the running, I don't see how those wild cards come into play for us in the AFC East. You know, the Browns just lost Deshaun Watson, and that sucks for them, which is great for every other team in the AFC trying to potentially get into the wild card. I still believe if you're in the AFC East, the best chance you have to make it to the playoffs is to win the division. So, with that said, the Miami Dolphins clearly are the most consistent team in the AFC East. Now, some are going to say, "Oh, well, they haven't beaten a team above 500." Okay, we lost to the freaking Patriots and we lost to the Raiders. If you're a Jets fan, if you're a Bills fan, you lost to the Patriots and you lost to the Broncos. So we got to stop with that. At the end of the day, if that's the metric, right, then nonetheless, the Dolphins beat up on the teams they should beat up on, whereas the Jets and the Bills can't figure it out. So they are the most consistent team right now in the AFC East. So in order for us to still be in this conversation, I think, realistically speaking, this Sunday, Jets versus Buffalo Bills is a playoff game. It is. It's a playoff game. The Jets can't lose this game. The Bills can't lose this game. The winner of this particular game this Sunday, in essence, their season stays alive. And I mean that wholeheartedly. If the Jets lose this game on Sunday, then you know what? Don't bother bringing freaking Aaron Rodgers back. I know he's doing the best he can to be back mid-December. But unfortunately, my opinion on that is if we're not in contention or the ability to win the AFC East, chasing a wild card is not worth that man's health. I believe wholeheartedly that if he does come back in December, which is about 3 months removed from an Achilles tear, Aaron Rodgers is not fully healed. He will be playing with still a Achilles trying to heal up and merge. I digress from that. There's nothing anywhere that I've been able to find that says that Aaron Rodgers coming back this soon means he's healed up. It just means the Achilles is stable based off of the procedure and where they drilled the end portion of it right into the bone. But there's issues with it flexing that can go ahead and cause the tendon to that's a whole other video. But no, ultimately, having Aaron Rodgers out there in December when the Jets are literally not in position to win the AFC East, I think is a mistake. That's, again, another video for a different day. Let's focus on this weekend. The Jets face off against the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills right now are in shambles. You know, they've let go of their offensive coordinator. It seems like Josh Allen has forgotten how to play freaking offensive football. We already know he struggles against the Jets defense, but he struggled against everybody this year, except for the Miami Dolphins. It seems like the Buffalo Bills are getting a regression from Josh Allen since Brian Dable's departure. We've all kind of seen it kind of happening up to this point. Well, a majority of you that I interact with have seen it happening, and now you're seeing it full-fledged. They're having team-only meetings. They've blamed their offensive coordinator for Josh Allen's struggles. It's one of those things where you look at this game and the Jets defense is probably looking at the chops, thinking to themselves, we're going to eat, we're going to dominate, we can win this game. But then we got to be honest with ourselves and look at how this defense, the Bills defense, even though they've had so many injuries, they've played respectively well. I'm impressed with how well they've played in actuality. Knowing how much they've had to challenge and juggle and still be a top 15 unit is very impressive. If the Jets can lose to the freaking Raiders and the Jets can lose to the Chargers and can't score points against those defenses, I'm struggling to see how the Jets win this game on Sunday. I'm having a very hard time trying to fathom how this offense can figure it all out. Now, we've seen this offense make moves, and then on the undisciplined nature of an Allen Lazard or a CJ Uzomah call plays back because of the ridiculous penalties. I would love to get into that even more, but I told myself I was not going to make this a long video because I want to make sure that it's clean cut, right to the point. CJ Uzomah and Allen Lazard have been they've been terrorists. They've been embedded into the organization as inside men, and I consider them to be terrorists, right? They're on the New York Jets, costing them opportunities. It seems like every week, and at this point, you can only associate that with, a bunch of players who are wearing green but should be wearing other jerseys. The let go of Michael Carter, which the New York Jets did this week as the scapegoat, I thought was insane, right? Some people say, well, for being honest, he had that chop block, and that's why they had the chop block, and they wound up benching Michael Carter. But after further review, you realize it wasn't really an illegal chop block. The defender was not engaged with freaking Mekhi Becton, so he was well within his right to go ahead and do the chop block. It was legal. Still, the flag was called, and he was penalized. He was sat down the rest of the game, and then, of course, cut later on. Now, it's possible that, when they told him they were bringing up Izzy to kind of get a spark, he said, cut me, and that's what happened. All that is really possible. I went to jump on Twitter today. He still has not activated his Twitter account again. But the fact of the matter is Jets offense is also in shambles. So you're looking at the Bills defense in shambles, the Bills offense in shambles, the Jets offense in shambles. This is not going to be a high scoring game. If anything, it might be a game of turnovers. And in actuality, this is going to be a game where I think whoever gets the 14 points first winds up winning it. And that's where I struggle to see the New York Jets making this happen. But then I watched the games. I watched how Josh Allen has been a turnover machine. Right now, 11 turnovers, 11 interceptions in the NFL, leading the NFL in interceptions. And I look at what we did to him in week 1, and this has got to be a guy who right now is in his own head. You just got your offensive coordinator fired. I think the Jets have a chance. So for the first time in a long time, I'm going to do something that I've never done on this channel. I'm going to give you predictions in regards to how these games can turn out. But I'm going to give you 2. Because in all actuality, the more and more I've done research on both teams and both situations, and I just can't give you an honest, confident thumbs up that we're going to go ahead and put this out. But I also can't tell you that the Jets can't win this game when both of these teams are struggling. When I say this is a playoff game for the Jets and the Bills, I mean this is a playoff game for the Jets and the Bills. The loser of this game will not be in the conversation for the postseason. That's facts. You look at the schedule of the Buffalo Bills, it gets significantly harder after us. You look at the schedule for the New York Jets, it gets a little bit easier, but when you're behind as much as you're about to be, is Aaron Rodgers really going to go ahead and come in, when we're mathematically eliminated from potentially winning the AFC East? So here it is. This is the game, and it's going to be based primarily on, I think, the defenses are going to be the deciding factors of how this game goes. The New York Jets can win this game. In order for them to win this game, however, they're going to have the defense score points. I don't believe in this offense. I don't believe this offense can get it done. In order for us to win this game, special teams, we already know Greg the Leg is going to do his job. He's going to go ahead and get field goals for us. Leading scorer for the New York Jets, mind you. The defense is going to unfortunately have to go ahead and do their job plus the offense's job and score points. We're going to need one defensive score if the Jets want to win this game. Just one. I'm not asking for many. I think one gets it done. This defense is good enough to go ahead and pretty much add static and stress to Josh Allen. He's going to throw a couple of picks. I'm going to say there's 2 interceptions from Josh Allen in this game. If somehow, we can turn one of those turnovers into a score, Jets win. If the defense does not score in this game, the Buffalo Bills will win this game. This is not going to be a pretty game. It's not going to be a pretty game. My final score prediction is 14-10. One way or another. Jets defense scores, 14-10. Jets defense doesn't score, 14-10. That's the score. 14-10, either the Bills or the Jets. And I've just told you what needs to happen in order for it to be a Jets win. If the Jets don't score on defense, Buffalo Bills will win this game. Some people are saying it's going to be a score fest, and I just don't see how that's possible. 2 struggling offenses, a Buffalo Bills defense who somehow, someway have figured it out and still made themselves relevant. Jets defense is just elite. Let's just call it what it is. And they have Josh Allen's number. Josh Allen's performance against the New York Jets over the last couple of years is nothing impressive. In fact, I've been saying it from jump that we're in this dude's head. I just assume he'd be playing better at this point of the season. I did have the Jets splitting in the beginning of the year with the Buffalo Bills, but this is an opportunity for the Jets to actually sweep the Bills, and I'm excited for it. Whether it happens or not, completely different story. But yeah, that's my predictions for this game. And it's frustrating that I couldn't be more direct and more deliberate. But when you look at this, it's really one of 2 things. If the Jets defense scores points this weekend, the Jets will win this game. If the Jets defense doesn't score points this weekend, the Jets will lose this game. So that's it. 14-10 will be the score. You know what? 17-10 will be the score. I believe the kicker's going to be more involved. So 17-10. Let me change that. I'm going to change it. 17-10 is the final score, and that's going to be based off of whether or not the Jets defense can score. And if they can't, the Bills will get the 17 points and we'll get 10. And that's how the game will go. 17-10, final score. I don't have the confidence to say one way or another who's going to pull it off. If I was told I had to put my money on it right now, I'd bet Jets. I was told I had to put my mortgage on it, I'd bet Bills. That's just where we're at right now, man. Nonetheless, somehow, some way, the Jets are still in it, 4-5. Bills have, in my opinion, are the only real frauds in the AFC East. As they sit at 5-5, they are the 3-time AFC East champions. They were the AFC East favorites, and yet somehow, some way, they're not performing to that capacity. The Dolphins have beaten the teams they're supposed to, and they've struggled against the teams that every other team has struggled against. The Jets and the Bills have both lost to teams they shouldn't be losing to. But for the record, the Jets are playing their backup quarterback, not their starter. There's only one fraud in the AFC East. The Patriots are who we thought they were. The Jets, without an Aaron Rodgers, is actually impressing how they've performed. The Miami Dolphins, healthy, are doing what we thought would be happening. Offense elite, defense is sus. And then you've got the Bills, who on both defense and offense have not lived up to the bar. Predominantly on freaking offense. So if this whole conversation about frauds this and frauds that, in all actuality, there's only one fraud in the AFC East, and that is the Buffalo Bills. The Jets should be able to take advantage of that. And I hope they do. As always, go Jets.
Chant, they like to say, it goes something like Jets. Jets, Jets, Jets.